It was supposed to be a peaceful afternoon, a moment of self-care for a proud Black, disabled woman named Maya. She had been looking forward to this all week, lounging by the community pool in her favorite bikini, soaking up the sun and embracing her joy. But as Maya settled into her chair, a storm was brewing. Enter Karen, the self-appointed HOA enforcer, with a clipboard in hand and a scowl that could wilt the brightest day. Karen claimed Maya was violating the community's standards, but her tone hinted at something deeper, something far uglier. Maya, however, wasn't about to be intimidated. What started as a tense confrontation quickly turned into a battle of dignity and resilience. And just when it seemed Karen had the upper hand, the tables turned in the most unexpected way. You won't believe what happened next. Stay tuned for the twist that left everyone stunned. Maya stayed calm, her heart pounding as Karen rattled off a list of supposed rules she was breaking. Something about inappropriate attire and not respecting the space. But Maya had read the HOA guidelines. She knew she wasn't breaking any rules. It wasn't about the rules, it was about her. Maya had dealt with people like Karen before, people who saw her skin, her wheelchair, her confidence, and decided it didn't belong. As neighbors started to gather, drawn by Karen's raised voice, Maya felt their stares. Some whispered, others looked away, unsure of what to do. Maya's hands tightened around the arms of her wheelchair, her mind racing. Should she pack up and leave to avoid further humiliation, or should she stand her ground? Meanwhile, Karen kept pushing, her voice growing louder, her words sharper. That's when someone unexpected stepped in, and the mood at the pool shifted in a way no one saw coming. Before Maya could respond, a soft yet firm voice broke through Karen's tirade. It was Lisa, a young mom from the neighborhood, standing by with her toddler. "Excuse me, but I think you're out of line," Lisa said, stepping forward. Karen turned her sharp gaze toward Lisa, clearly not expecting anyone to challenge her. "This isn't your concern," Karen snapped, but Lisa didn't back down. "It's everyone's concern when someone's being treated unfairly." The crowd around the pool began shifting uncomfortably. A few people nodded in agreement with Lisa, but most stayed silent. Maya could feel the weight of their hesitation. Were they afraid of Karen or just unwilling to get involved? She looked at Lisa, grateful for the support but unsure if it would make a difference. Karen, undeterred, doubled down, now targeting Lisa with accusations about protecting community values. But as Karen grew louder, Maya noticed something else happening. Someone was recording everything. Karen's voice grew louder, and her words more cutting, but the murmurs in the crowd were growing too. Maya sat quietly, observing, her mind racing. She noticed a few neighbors exchange uneasy glances, and some even whispered to each other. Lisa stood her ground, her voice steady despite Karen's escalating aggression. "This isn't about rules," Lisa said firmly. "It's about control, and it needs to stop." Then came a sharp interruption. "Enough." A deep voice echoed across the pool deck. Everyone turned to see Mr. Johnson, the HOA president, walking toward the commotion with a determined expression. Karen's confidence faltered, but only for a moment. She quickly spun around, trying to explain. "I was just enforcing the regulations," she stammered, but Mr. Johnson raised his hand, silencing her. Before Karen could respond, the person filming stepped forward. "Actually," they said, holding up their phone, "we've got everything on video." "Care to explain this, Karen?" The crowd collectively held its breath. Karen's face turned pale as the person holding the phone stepped closer. The screen lit up with the video capturing every word she'd said. "This doesn't look like enforcing rules to me," they said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Karen opened her mouth to argue, but before she could speak, Mr. Johnson addressed the crowd. "Let's be clear," he said, his voice calm but firm. "This community has no rules against what Maya is wearing or where she chooses to enjoy the pool. What we do have rules against is harassment." The air grew thick with tension, but just as the crowd began murmuring again, another voice spoke up. It was an elderly man who had been silent until now. Karen's been targeting people for years, he said, his voice shaking slightly. Maya's not the first. Gasps rippled through the crowd as others began nodding, exchanging knowing looks. Karen's grip on her clipboard tightened. But then, the twist no one saw coming. The person filming turned the camera to Maya and asked, "Do you want to say anything?" Maya hesitated for a moment, then smiled, a calm, confident smile. "Actually," she said, "I'd like to thank Karen, because today she reminded me exactly why I'm proud of who I am." The crowd froze, waiting to see what would happen next. Maya's words hung in the air, and for the first time, Karen seemed at a loss. The crowd began to clap, at first softly, then louder, until the sound filled the pool area. Karen's scowl deepened, but her usual confidence was gone. Mr. Johnson turned to her. "Karen, it's time we had a serious discussion about your behavior," he said firmly. "Your actions today don't represent the values of this community." But just when it seemed the tension had finally peaked, another figure approached. It was a woman Maya hadn't seen before, dressed in a sharp suit and carrying a small stack of papers. She walked right up to Karen and handed her the documents. "Karen, I'm with the HOA legal team. We've been investigating multiple complaints about your conduct. I think you'll want to review these," she said, her tone calm but pointed. Karen's face turned red as she glanced at the papers. Meanwhile, Maya leaned forward, watching as Karen hurriedly packed up her clipboard and stormed away without another word. The crowd began to disperse, some stopping to thank Maya for her strength and resilience. But the final twist came moments later when Mr. Johnson approached Maya with a smile. "By the way," he said, "we've been looking for someone to join the HOA board who truly represents the community. If you're interested, we'd love to have you." Maya's smile widened as she glanced at the pool, the place that had tried to break her confidence, now offering her a chance to make real change. The day hadn't gone as expected, but it ended with her standing taller than ever. As the sun began to set, Maya stayed by the pool, taking in the calm after the storm. The same neighbors who once hesitated to step in now stopped to introduce themselves, offering warm smiles and kind words. Lisa came over with her toddler, giving Maya a quick hug. "You were incredible," she said. Maya laughed softly. "I just did what I had to." The papers Karen received quickly became the talk of the neighborhood, and while no one knew exactly what they said, it was clear her days of unchecked power were over. Maya, meanwhile, found herself thinking about Mr. Johnson's offer. She'd always avoided getting involved in HOA politics, but maybe this was her chance to ensure no one else faced what she did today. As she wheeled herself back home, Maya couldn't help but smile. She hadn't just stood her ground, she'd sparked change. And that was the real victory.